make less than $250,000 a year, your taxes will not increase one single dime. You will not see your taxes increase one single dime. Because the last thing we need to do in this economy is raise taxes on the middle class.
So is the president about to break that pledge? Christian Dorsey says he should. He's with the Economic Policy Institute. Christian, he should go back on the cornerstone of his presidency, I thought, was supposed to be his honesty. You're saying throw that out the window.
Well, he's not throwing it out the window, Charles. In fact, the spirit of President Obama's pledge was that on net, middle-class folks would be better off under his administration than not. And what he's doing with health care is providing that middle-class folks will be better off.
Christian, hold on one second.
The previous conversation was the fact that folks are, on average, going to save $1,100 under the Senate health care plan.
I think the pledge was pretty clear, and he made it a lot. It wasn't just a campaign promise, by the way. This is the promise that he made again in front of Congress, his first address to Congress, and it was pretty clear that no one who made less than $250,000, no household, would see their taxes hiked. And in fact, people are paying a lot more money and going to continue to pay a lot more money under his plans.
No, they're going to pay a lot less under his plan. Any objective analysis shows that middle-class Americans are going to spend less under Obama's health care reform than under the current system. There will be some fees and some increases associated with some of the things that you mentioned, but the savings that are going to be passed through to Americans on the result of covering uninsured Americans more than make
that's
up.
I don't think that's what people thought they were buying into. When a lot of people went to the voting booths, they didn't think they were buying into a convoluted conversation here. They thought it was pretty straightforward. We're not going to tax Americans, and there they are. You're taxing Americans, and this is exactly why people are starting to have second thoughts.
Now, with all due respect, Charles, if you could ask the American people whether they would be for a health care plan that, one, close the gap in coverage for Medicare enrollees, the so-called donut hole,
all of that
eliminated discrimination
stuff
on pre-existing conditions,
we know one thing right now, Christian.
94% of Americans, and reduced the deficit by $132 billion, and gave you a net tax decrease.
Nobody believes any of the things that you just said, okay? Polls are really turned against this plan dramatically. All of those sound bites, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Why is it that politicians, and why are you talking like that as if people are just completely stupid? Okay, they bought into it. They say, you know what, we're going to give this guy a shot. He seems honest, and he's going against what he said he would. On the screen, we have the latest polls. Look at the disapproval rating right now for the health care plan. Obama's own polls are going down dramatically as well. Is there some sort of epiphany that's going to ring with you guys that says, you know what, maybe we should just be honest and at least not make promises that you're not going to keep?
Look, there's no promise that has not been kept. And poll numbers aside, the facts of the matter is these are not my talking points. This is the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office that is responsible for telling us what these plans will actually do. And I'm not talking about what I'd like for these plans to be. This is what they are. They're going to cost Americans less,
what they are.
And they're going to reduce the deficit over time.
10 years is a long time. Christian, you know this. You've been at this game a long time. 10 years is a long time, and no government plan has ever lived up to the lofty numbers that were tossed out there initially. But the key, though, here is that you're saying, your premise is that it's okay that the president is throwing this pledge out the window. And again, I submit to you that this is the cornerstone of his presidency, or it was supposed to be.
He's not throwing the pledge out the window. He's actually reducing costs for people on net. There are some increases. I'm not going to tell you that they're not. But if you tell me that you're going to give me savings that more than account for any increase, I'm better off, and so are the American people.
I don't think the American people believe that, Christian, and the polls are really starting to point that out. So where does this continue now? Now that this particular pledge has been broken, should we expect more promises to be broken and somehow the loop closed through fancy talk?
Not at all. Look, the president has come very close to a historic moment doing what no president has been able to do, even though all since Jimmy Carter have tried mightily, and that is bring real reform to America's health care system that, on average, makes people better off than they were before. This is an historic achievement, one that ought to be applauded. And you can talk about the tax on tanning salons and closing the loopholes in some of the flexible savings accounts as being catastrophic for middle-class families, but when they look at this really closely, they'll realize that they're on the verge of being delivered something that they never could have imagined.
Well, I can tell you right now that, you got to put your finger in the wind and see which way it's blowing, my friend, because you're absolutely wrong about the American people. They are wising up. Again, a lot of people believe in the story, in the promises, and it doesn't look like they're being kept. And I think that's going to be something that continues and lingers. I don't hear a lot of applauding right now, but I do appreciate it, though, Christian. Thanks a lot.
Happy holidays.
You too. All right, now to